So good morning, yogis. So I am happy to join you here this morning. I'm thinking we're gonna start laying down, and I'm just gonna lie down on my back in general. But if you wanted to do some support under your back, like a couple blocks or a rolled up blanket or something like that, you certainly could do that. We're gonna just focus on breathing for a couple minutes. So any way that you think will kind of enhance that awareness would be awesome. All right. So if you lie down and your pelvis tends to tilt so that your low back overarches, you can certainly leave your legs on the floor in this position, which is a position that sort of lets the hip flexors relax. You could straighten the legs all the way out. If it feels like an interesting thing to do, you could certainly put the feet together and drop the knees open. Okay, I'm going to go for a more straight leg if I can, and if that doesn't work out, I'll go back to that constructive rest position with the feet on the floor. All right, and then the next stage is to get the chin level, and for some of us that's the issue, because the chin wants to stick up, and so you may need a little support into your head, like a folded blanket or something along that line. And so once you've gotten the curves of the spine supported in whatever way allows them to relax in a neutral fashion, hello Coco, then you can snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you and take a moment to breathe. Now, one of the things that we're trying to do with these early kind of breath awareness pieces, especially in terms of Pilates, is we're trying to get the breath to expand through the rib cage and use some of the secondary breathing muscles, like the muscles in between the ribs and the pectoralis muscles that help us breathe deeper. We're trying to get those muscles moving. And so normally when I breathe, this part of my belly expands, because the diaphragm's pulling down and that's where things are squishy. But if I draw just a little bit of structure around my abdominal muscles, I can force the breath to go a little more into my ribs. To get a little more space in there. And that for me doesn't give me as deep a breath. So I like to sort of alternate the two. Some breaths that I push up toward the ribs, and then some breaths that I just let drop in naturally. So you may have your own strategy around it. Just see what comes up and what's interesting. So I'm finding as I'm breathing a little deeper and as things are starting to move, that it's helping to move my arms a little bit as well. So just notice things that come along the way here. We're going to take about, 4 or 5 more deep breaths. more. And then sort of drop the technique. You can bring the knees in if you like. If you have anything underneath your upper back or anything in general, you can go ahead and take those things out first and then give yourself this little kind of back massaging move. All right, so we're going to take the legs over to one side, doesn't matter which side you start with, and then we're going to roll this upper back as close to the ground as possible. Now, it could be that the two legs will stack on top of each other really nicely. It could be that you need a little support either underneath or in between the two knees. Now, I like to do some kind of support, block works or pillow, and then drop the top leg over the top. So there's a little bit more pull along this outer edge of my hip. Gives me a nice stretch through this pectoralis muscle in the chest and the twist in my spine. And so you can play with the support, not just because you don't quite reach all the way down to the floor with your legs, but also because you want that little extra lip to drop over. And you might be able to do that just by providing, one leg over the top of the other too. We're going to take about 3 more breaths on this side. Giving this little extra stretch some time to marinate. You notice that the depth of your breath is different when you're in a twist. It is for me. I don't know if it's true for everybody. Come on back to the center when your exhale finds you. And then just pause for a moment and give that a rinse. So I'm going to take this arm and shoulder that I was just stretching and this hip and just give it a little moment to sort of shift back. See if I can feel a difference in my body. And I'm letting my spine sort of release a bit. So I am going to take my legs the opposite direction. Same idea. It might be that one side's a little tighter than the other, so you can experiment with that placement of things. And again, we're just kind of going for a little extra sensational in the outer hip, a little extra sensational along this chest muscle. It might be a lot of sensation, let's face it. And then as deep a breath as you can get. Take a nice deep breath. And we're going to come on back to the center. All right, so again, we'll take just a moment, kind of rinse that out. Now I'm going to scoot a little bit toward the center here so I have a little bit more room, because now we're going to do the little twisting move again, but as kind of more of a core exercise. So once it feels like you've got your spine kind of back to neutral, we're going to float the legs up so the knees kind of wind up over top of the pelvis or over the belly button. And then you can plant your palms face down, or you can leave your arms up. You can even do a cactus with the arms. And we're going to press the upper arms into the floor nice and firm to kind of hold the upper body steady. Take the legs over to one side, and then you can either kind of curl them in towards your armpit or extend one or both legs, okay, to create a little bit more challenge. Because of my space limitations, I like to do the little curled in knees. When you come back across, come to the middle with your knees about over the belly button, draw up just to give yourself that little extra lift. Come over and curl in. So we come to the center, curl in, come to the sides, and either extend or curl in, okay? Try to hold your shoulders as steady as you can as we go along. And I find that this often makes me travel a little bit down my mat, so I'll fix it at the end. So hopefully we're feeling the abdominal muscles getting warmer. Let's do that twice more. So we're coming back to the center. We're going to pause right here. We're going to take hold of the right leg and let the left leg stretch all the way out. And I probably need to go this way again so that I don't wind up off screen here. Okay. So stretching the left leg out, just letting that one rest, hanging onto your right leg. Spin your right foot in some circular shapes just to get the ankle joint moving. Go the other direction. And then point and flex. So then we're going to extend the leg up and give it kind of a little stretch in the hamstring. So if you need to let go, you can let go. And then we're going to bend it and pull it back in. And then extend the leg up. And then we'll bring the leg in. And then one more time, extend that leg up, and we're going to hold steady right there just for a couple of breaths. Again, you can let go if you need to, because that's a lot of hamstring. Taking one more big breath here. Good. So we're going to pause here and secure this left leg. So we're going to roll the leg so that the toes point up. You can keep the knee a little bit bent, or you can extend the leg out. It just kind of depends on whether you hyperextend your knee. For me, it's better to try to keep that knee a little bit bent and kind of press my heel into the ground. And then I'm going to take my upper back and press that down, press the hands into the floor. So hug the sides of the waisted, secure your left leg, secure your upper body. Then we'll take that leg across, and as we make a big circle with it, the torso should remain nice and stable because all this other stuff is holding and stabilizing, and the leg is just providing resistance. So let's do it one more time, go in that direction. When you get to the top, we'll go out to the side, come down and up the center, and really hug in and hold stable through your torso. One more time, going that way. And then bring that leg up. We're going to take our torso and kind of curl up. Now again, sometimes what happens is we try to use the neck to drag the core with it. But instead, what we want to essentially do is use the core, and the neck is just helping to hold the head steady. But if that's tricky, you could put your hands behind your head instead of doing the work with the hands. Then we're going to lift. So we're going to scissor the legs back and forth, curl in a little bit, curl in a little bit, curl in a little bit, curl in a little bit. So just try to, instead of pulling on the neck, I'm trying to press my head into my hands and do that little bit of curl from the abs, okay? And again, you can extend your arms up and kind of tap the back of the leg just to hold yourself steady for that little extra curl. Or you can use the head support. Reach out through both legs, curl, curl, two more. Last set. Now, hold that left leg there. Bend the knee, you can reach and grab it. I'm gonna fix my pants first. I don't know that it's gonna fix it, but hold it onto the left leg. We'll spin this left foot in circles. Let that right leg rest. And then go the other direction after a bit with the circles. I'm going to point and flex the foot. Oh, it feels good. All right, yogis, this is the fun part. Or maybe not. We're going to extend that leg as far as it's willing to extend. Bend the knee and hug it in. Extend it as far as it's willing to extend. Hug it, pull it in. Okay, one more time. Extend. Oh, we're just going to hang out right there. I'm reaching out through this bottom leg a little bit as well. Good morning, hamstrings. Last big breath. So again, the first thing we're going to do after we let go of this leg is we're going to secure this right leg. So I'm going to rotate it a little bit so the toes point up. I'm going to bend that knee a little bit and kind of dig my heel just a little bit into the ground. Stabilize and, even out my pelvis. Upper back presses down to the floor. Hands or arms press into the floor. Leg comes across. And I might not get a whole circle there, but whatever range of motion I can get is still going to challenge me to hold stable. 2 more of those. And I'm still doing all this work with this leg, the torso, and the upper body, okay? So the leg goes out to the side, we bring it straight up the middle. Try to hug in the sides of the waist. Let's do 1 more of those. Good. So bring the knees in for a moment. Give yourself just a moment to release any pressure from the hips, because we're going to add it back in. So again, I could put my hands behind my head, curl up, press the head into the hands, and do a lot of the work to stabilize the pelvis here. Or it might be best to keep the head on the floor, plant the hands nice and firm, even tuck in the thumbs underneath the pelvis. We're going to extend the legs, and then we're going to lower them down for 4, 3, 2, 1, holding steady right there. 2, 1, and then coming back. Now, you can lower your legs as far down as you want. The main thing, though, is that we don't want the back to arch off the floor, okay? So if it feels like your back is arching off the floor, that's problematic. So if you can keep your back nice and stable, excellent. But if it feels like it's going to lift, don't go down quite so low, okay? So the most important part is that we're stabilizing all of the muscles at the center of the body, not how low the legs go. And some of us just have proportions where the legs are longer than the torso, so you're going to work with what you got here, kids. Me too. So extend the legs, glue them together, feel yourself really engage deeply through the sides of the waist, and then we'll lower those legs down for 4, 3, 2, 1, hold 4, 3, 2, 1, come on back. Lower 4, 3, 2, 1, hold 4, 3, 2, 1, come on back. Lower 4, 3, 2, 1, hold 4, 3, 2, 1, come on back. Lower 4, 3, 2, 1, hold 4, 3, 2, 1, come on back. We're going to do 2 more. Lower 4, 3, 2, 1, hold 4, 3, 2, 1, come on back. Last round. Lower 4, 3, 2, 1, hold 4, 3, 2, 1, come on back. Good job, yogis. All right, take a moment to rinse out any tension from your hips or your back, for that matter. Anywhere you might have landed some tension. Oh, it feels so nice when it's over, though. do the roll up. And again, just a thought that I'm going to put out there is that if you can't, it's hard to roll up all the way smoothly. It is. It's a difficult move. So a lot of us will come to this point where we can't quite get off the floor smoothly. So we're going to be kind of feeling like we need to thrust ourselves up to get off the floor. The problem with that is that it doesn't really build the strength that we're looking for. And instead, it just reinforces tension in the muscles we've already got tension in, like our hip flexors. So if you can do it smoothly, roll up one vertebrae at a time smoothly. But if this is tricky for you, I have an answer. But we're going to break this move in two parts. So you'll just follow this one. So we're going to take the hands and bring them behind the head. We're going to press the head into the hands. And we're only going to come up as far as we can come up without throwing ourselves forward. Okay, so head into hands, curl up, and come back down. And see if you can get your shoulder blades off the floor. They may not come off the floor yet this time. Curl up, come back down. Okay, so we're going to build strength up here with this part of the move. Curl up, come back down. Keep pushing your head into your hands. Curl up, come back down. Curl up, come back down. Two more. Curl up, come back down. Curl up, come back down. All right, that's the first part. Now we got to come to the seated position. And we can do the second part of this. So we're going to stretch over the legs. And again, those of you that are doing the full roll up, just carry on. When you get too tired, stop. Then we're going to roll down as far as we can. Come all the way up. Get tall. Fold over the legs as best you can. Get tall. Curl through your back and roll down as far as you can go. Come back up. Get tall. Fold over the legs. We got 3 more of those to go. Come up, get tall, curl back, go as far as you can before you lose control. Come all the way back up, get tall, fold over your legs. Okay, last one. Get tall, curl back, see how far you can go. Come back up, get tall, fold over your legs. All right, so this is where we're all gonna meet up right here. So just folding over the legs. Take a big breath, get a little taller, exhale, fold over your legs. And so when you get here, and then we'll let this turn into an all fours position. So I'm going to take a sip of water, put my hair up, and then I'll join you guys in that all fours position. Do some cats. All right. Now, if for any reason you've got some wrist concerns, you can put your hands a little further up in front, or even turn the hands a little bit in or out, and then let your belly sort of drop toward the floor. And feel yourself draw the shoulder blades down the back, maybe kind of create a little situation where you even almost let the shoulder blades come up off your back a little bit. And then as you round your back, we're going to try to curl the tailbone and the lower back into a rounder shape. So we stretch the muscle out in this lower part of the back. So moving the muscle in the upper part of the back with this move. Lower back does this all the time, so it's not that exciting for your lower back. And then the opposite is true of this shape, which is the upper back rounds this way all the time, but the lower back doesn't. So we're just going to do that twice more. Just moving tissue in those 2 areas of our back. All right, so let's come to a neutral position. When you're ready, when you're finished with those 2 moves, we're going to take the right leg back behind us, the left arm out in front, give that a really good reach. We're just going to hold this steady. So draw up through the waist if you can a little bit. Reach out between those 2 points. Take one more breath. And then And we're gonna bring that right leg all the way forward. Oh, sorry about that. Bring the right leg all the way forward, and we'll ease the hip a little forward into a lunge. Now I'm backing off a little bit and then coming back in. And backing off a little bit and coming back in. We're going to do that one more breath. And then I'm going to fold over my front leg and slowly back it up until I feel something in the hamstrings. So just coming back to that territory again. Now for me, this is a lot about the outer hamstrings, so I'm going to walk my hands around to this diagonal, and as I sort of let myself fold, even stretch that leg a little further out, I get a little more into this inner part of my thigh. So I get the other hamstrings. Got a troublemaker. We'll see how this goes. All right, so then we're going to take that right leg all the way back, give it a little lift. You can put the left arm back in. We're going to curl up and then stretch it back out, and curl up and stretch it out. And rescue your plant. Oh, and curl up and stretch back out. And one more time, curl up and stretch back out, and then lower everything down. All right, yogis, give yourself a moment. We're going to take that left side out. So the left leg's going out, the right arm's going out, and this one we're going to hold again, kind of dial in a little bit of support through your abdominals. Reach between those 2 points. Good, last breath here. And then we're going to bring that left leg all the way forward into the lunge. And again, start light and let yourself just really gently pulsate in and out. I'm not going really big with this move. I'm not even sure if it'll pick up on video, frankly. It's just like a little tiny bit more, and then sort of back off so that I still feel it, but it's not quite as intense. And then a little tiny bit more kind of forward movement in my hip, and then back off of it a little bit. I'm going to do that twice more. And I'm just going to pause for a moment in this lunge and breathe just right at the spicy spot. And then we're going to fold over the front leg and draw the hips back until you feel something stretch out there. And you might not even need to straighten your leg much, frankly. And again, for me, the more I center myself over the leg, the more I feel this in this outer hamstring. There's technically two muscles there kind of woven. On one end, there's two, and on the other end, there's just one. But I feel it like there's two. And then there's two more on the inside, so that's where this diagonal comes in, and letting myself sort of stretch those two guys out as well. And one more big breath here. And then we're going to come around, and I'm going to bring that leg back, give it a long reach, maybe add in this arm and curl in. And if it's too much to add the arm, just put your hand back down and just do the leg curl up, stretch back out, curl up, stretch back out, curl up, stretch back out. One more time, curl up, stretch back out, and then bring that leg down, and then take a moment to rinse everything out. Now, yogis, we're going to do a little bit more work here on our knees, We're going to switch back to the left knee. I think what I'm going to do is turn this way so it'll be a little bit easier. So we're going to take this right leg and just reach it out. And what I've got essentially is I've sort of kick-standed my left leg a little to the diagonal. And then I'm going to see if I can kind of roll up into the side plank. Now, if you wanted to stretch that bottom leg out, you're welcome to do so. I may need to feel like I need to move my hand a little bit up. And if I just need to get off the wrist, you can do this. It's a little wobblier, but you can do it this way as well, okay? So we're gonna kind of come up so that the waist or the hip is right over the knee or just around that area. Then we're gonna pick up this leg if we can. Now, if this is as much as you can do, you go here. If you can, we're gonna pick up this leg, right? So we'll see if we can pick the leg up and then hold steady and make some circles with that leg. Oh, I don't know why I find this one so challenging today, but I do. So we're gonna circle, 2, 3, 4, pause, go the other direction. Oh, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then lift. Beautiful. So then we'll come down. Now you guys would just switch sides, but again, if for whatever reason you're feeling like you need to keep looking at the camera, you can certainly move you or move the camera or your phone, whatever it is you're looking at. For me, it's a camera. For you, it's a TV. So we're here on the other side, and again, I might need a little more room, or I might put my elbow on the block. We're going to lift this leg. We're going to see if we can maintain that as we circle the leg. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold steady, lift, and go the other direction. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. And then we'll come back to the center. All right, yogis, we're done with the hands and knees things, but before we go, maybe a little child's pose, or you can go directly into your down dog, whichever is the right answer for you. Oh. Okay, let's find our way into down dog, as long as it's an appropriate pose. If it's not, you can stick with an all fours position. And then experiment with, like, where's the best place for my hands? I want it to feel like my wrist and my shoulder line up pretty nicely. And then hug in and move a little bit and get your shoulders nice and secure. And then you can walk in place. If you haven't already been doing that, press the heels down, lift the hips up. And we'll just walk our way up to the top of the mat, or walk your hands back to the back of the mat. Just get to one end. And wiggle your feet out a little wider than the mat maybe. Bend your knees. We're going to let this upper body really hang. And we're going to sort of let the lower body move side to side. Almost like those kind of skiing elliptical trainers. But we're just going to let the legs do the work. And the rest of this is just going to hang. All right, pause there and go the other direction if you can. So I'm trying to kind of make a figure 8. I'm better at it one way than the other. All right, come to the center. Keep your feet a little wide, but you can turn the toes in a little bit if you like. We're going to peel ourselves up about to that flat back position. Bend the knees, fold into that space. See how straight the legs want to go. They may not want to go straight at all. Come up to that flat back. Bend the knees, fold. See how straight the legs want to go. And then one more time, we're going to come up to this flat back And then come all the way up to standing. Ooh, that feels good. Give yourself a big stretch. Oh. 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 All right. So I've given everything a bit of a shake. And then we're going to find our way into a mountain pose. So I brought my feet back to about hips distance apart, pointed the toes forward. I'm going to find kind of a feeling like I'm a little off balance in both directions, like a little on my heels and a little on my toes. I'm just trying to rock between those two slightly off balance places until I find a center point in between the two. And I'm going to try to distribute the weight right there. So the toes spread out and plant down. I'm feeling the arches in my feet, the little arch between my big toe and my little toe, the big arch between my big toe and my heel, the little arch between my little toe and my heel. They're not very big. Some people have really high arches, some of us have a little lower ones. You'll just feel the ones you've got. But they're always there, they just may not be particularly pronounced. Let's see if you can become aware of them. Don't lock your knees up, but get a little taller. Relax your shoulders a little more if they're available to relax. So we're going to take this right arm and snake it up. We're going to reach over to the left. Come on back to the center. Take the left arm, reach it up. Come over to the right. Coming back to the center. Both arms are going to reach up, avoiding any plants you've got. And then we're going to step back and or fold forward and step back into down dog. Now from down dog, we'll come forward into a plank. We're going to hold for 3 breaths. So you can hold a full plank, or you can modify your plank. Just make sure when you modify your plank, you don't drop that core connection. Really draw that navel up and in. Try to feel that slope from your shoulders to your knees. Last breath here. And then we're going to lower down with control, coming into either cobra or upward dog. We're going to do that 3 times. Coming down, coming back up. Cobra or upward dog. Coming down, coming back up with your inhale. Reach through the legs. Coming back down, and then we'll take ourselves back to our plank, whatever choice we made. And then back to down dog. Take a nice big breath, lift your right leg up behind you. As you exhale, you're just going to hook that knee over your back if you can. Give it a little extra lift. Maybe even circle that ankle. Sink into the left heel if it's available. Hug the knee in, round your back, stretch that leg back, and then step your foot forward. And then we're going to come into a warrior 2. So we'll bring this back foot around. When you feel like your footing is secure, or as secure as it's going to get, come on up. And then feel the position of your legs. So if it feels like your leg is collapsing inward, let your hip go with this front leg, and then turn the back leg to match. Bring your arms up, extend them out of your shoulders. You can have the palms go in either direction. Come on back to reverse warrior, give it a nice stretch, and then come over to side angle. And then coming back, and over, and coming back, and over, and one more time coming back. Now we're going to straighten out our front leg. I have to adjust my back foot in just a notch, and then we'll come into triangle pose in the way that you like to get into triangle pose, if you have a special way. And for me, it's about kind of finding that feeling of expansion and then getting a little softer. Some days I like this pulsation of feeling myself find that sense of length, a little rotation. I'm using this block just to kind of push off of, but you could use your shin bone. And I haven't even put this arm up yet because I'm still working on the center point Now I'm going to take the arm with me into the shoulder joint so that it feels like it's an expansion of my whole upper back. Arm may not point straight up, y'all. Depends on how much rotation you've got in your torso. We got one more big breath here. All right, so we're going to turn this into a balancing pose. So I'm going to set my block off to the side and reach my hand out here. I've got a friend nearby, so I'm going to try to encourage her to find a new place to be by freaking her out completely. So we're going to stretch up into that. Use your leg and your core muscles to get some height. Ooh, we got 2 more breaths. I can feel my foot in the sunlight. Last big breath. Oh, and then we're going to step ourselves back into downward facing dog. Go play. When you're ready, you'll come forward into your plank. Again, you can hold that full plank, or you can modify your plank. Just make sure you've got all that core work dialed in. Hold and steady for a couple breaths. Last one. And then we're going to lower down with control. And maybe you went halfway down, maybe just all the way. Coming into Cobra. Ooh. Second round. You can do upward dog. You just gotta come down out of it and do it again. And one more time into Cobra. Oh. We're gonna push ourselves back up to downward dog. Well, to our plank first, and then to downward dog. Oh. Now, once you're in downward dog, and you figured out if you're gonna stay slippery or not, you're gonna take that left leg up. We're gonna hook it over the back. Sink into that right heel if it's available. Oh, stretch it back, bring it in, curl up around it, reach it back, and then step it forward. And again, we're gonna come to warrior 2, but take a moment and just secure your footing so that you can come up appropriately. Oh. And sometimes it takes a little extra finagling. All right, once you're there, come on back to reverse warrior and over into side angle, and then back. Oh. And side angle, and back. Oh. And side angle, and one more time. Coming back. Now I'm going to straighten out the leg. Again, I'm going to adjust my back foot just a little bit in, and then we're going to come into triangle in the way that you like. And again, I'm going to do this little bit of a pulsation. And again, it's not a big move. It's really more like I'm trying to find this deep inner connection that I've got in my legs, and also this connection inside my spine and in my torso. Okay. And so once I've sort of figured this out, then I like to expand the arm. And again, if I hyperextend my arm to get it all the way up, it doesn't feel like it belongs to my upper back. So I want to find that position that feels like it belongs to my back, rather than some idea I have about the practice. Wait, one more big breath. Okay, so then I'm going to set this block off to the side, and I'm going to come into this half moon balance. Oh. And see, can I expand up? And again, we're lifting through the leg. Whee! Last breath here. Whee! And then we're going to take ourselves back into down dog. Oh. Now, hang out with down dog for just a moment and feel where it landed you. Now you can do the right leg up, bring it forward, and then snuggle back into it if you like. For me, this is better if I have a little something soft like a blanket or a pillow to go underneath my hip. And then you could fold forward or stay a little more lifted to get a little more of this stretch in your hip. Whew, yogis. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? Or when your clock stops working somewhere around 1 o'clock in the morning. Just gonna breathe. Now if this pose isn't working for you, just flip it over onto your back if you haven't already done so. We're gonna stay for about 4 more deep breaths. So we're going to take a big inhale. Now, I'm going to lean into this bent leg hip. And I'm going to slide that leg out from underneath me. And this is my right leg. I'm laying on my right side, okay? So I'm going to stretch out. After I stop pinning my hair to the ground under my arm, I'm going to stretch out as long as I can. We're going to bring the feet behind us and then lift them. So the knees are down, the feet are up. This creates a little internal rotation right here at my hip. What I want to try to do is avoid taking my hip forward. So I want the hip to stay nice and stable and the leg bone to be the thing that's turning in. Then when I extend this leg, it makes my outer hip muscles work, which is what I'm after. So if I let the hip fall, I don't get that work. So hold your hip nice and steady as we move through these little clamshell moves. This is a good one for your outer hip. If there's nothing else, this one works really nicely because it also targets these muscles that overwork for a variety of reasons. Like this little dude right here. All right, we're gonna do 3 more. So then once the knees are together, we'll extend the legs back out. And just for a moment, pause and feel, is there a little bit more warmth on this outer hip? So you can either drop this leg forward or put the foot on the ground. We're gonna take this leg that's on the bottom, which is my right leg, and lift it up. Now, engage a little more deeply through your deep abs, and then we're gonna pulse this leg up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug the sides of your waist in. Hold it steady. 10, 9, 8, 7. Can you lift it back up there a little bit? 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on down. All right, now we have to go back to our down dog friend and step into our pigeon on the other side, unless, of course, you did pigeon on your back, in which case you might just be going right into that. So, this is my favorite, which is to feel, that I did something different on one side than the other. Oh, that's nice. You could throw in a plank if you want to, but I'm just going to go right into the pigeon. And again, before I get too snuggly, I'm going to add a little bit of a blanket here so that I have a little bit of support for my hip, so that I'm not torturing myself here, or my knee, most importantly. And so again, for you, it might be nice to have that little bit of support as well. And since my right side is the side where I'm really stretching into this hip flexor, and those are my tighter hip flexors, I'm feeling that quite a bit. So I might even lean forward a little bit to take some of the pressure off for a few breaths. Press myself more upright to get it more into it for a few breaths. Just feeling it out as it loosens. I feel like I can add a little bit on. So we'll stay for about 4 or 5 more breaths. You could, of course, grab that back foot. I'm not stopping you from doing that. Take one more big inhale. And then we're going to turn this into that side work on the left. So I'm going to bring this right leg around. I'm going to roll myself all the way around onto my left side. Might need to clear out a little space. Okay. That's delightful and intense. All right, so I've got my legs together, hips on top of hips, shoulders on top of shoulders. I'm gonna bring my feet around behind me, leaving the knees resting. I'm gonna lift the legs. The thing is, I wanna try to avoid letting that hip roll forward, okay? So I wanna keep that hip nicely lifted so that it's in its neutral position, even though the tendency when I lift these feet is for that hip to move forward. I'm gonna try to hold that neutral. So the work really has to be done by these muscles and not gravity. So I'm gonna open, extend, bring this back, close it up, keep that hip stable, okay? So we're just gonna move through these moves. So we're halfway through, we got 5 more to go. And it's possible, especially if you have tight hip on one side, that your knees may not totally come back together if you're holding that hip stable. So be it. We got 2 more to go. Because the stabilization of the hip itself makes these muscles do all the work. That might have been the 2, but I'm going to do 1 more for fun. Okay, so then we're going to extend the legs out. Drop this top leg over the top. It could be straight or bent. Get back into that stable position. Lift the bottom leg. Whew, feel yourself draw in through the side of the waist. And then we're going to pulse that up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now hold it steady. Dig in a little bit more. Hold in for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Dig in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring in the leg back down. We're going to roll onto our back, yogis, because we're going to take a few moments just to relax. Now, if you have to go to work, this might be the excellent time for you to bug out. If you've got a couple minutes to just turn onto your back and come back to where we started and see if there's a difference, definitely do. Because it's kind of fun to see that change. At least for me, it's much easier for me to feel nice and relaxed in my low back and hips. It stays more level without a lot of work on my part. My shoulders are more relaxed. Legs feel a little softer and longer. Just notice what's true for you. And if you've got a couple moments here just to breathe, let's take that time to breathe. Don't move yet, but feel your body. Notice, do you feel the breath all the way down to your toes and to your fingertips? And then take a breath so deep you can feel it all the way to your toes if possible. Let it go with a big ah. Give your fingers and toes a bit of a wiggle. Stretch them out. And then you can move your wrist and ankles. And then give your whole body a stretch. Maybe a banana to each side. Oh. You can bring your knees in. Oh. Good morning. Oh. And then when you're ready, you can come to a seated position. If you're still with me and you want to stay longer in Shavasana, I don't blame you. Stay as long as you want. Namaste, yogis. Thanks for joining me this morning.